Hey, how's it going, everybody? Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 teams in the NFL according to me, someone with very little prowess or respect in the community. At number 10, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know with all the John Gruden stuff that's going on, it's kind of a tough team to think of as, a top 10 team, but, you know, they have players. Derek Carr doesn't look half bad. Josh Jacobs, pretty solid running back. Darren Waller, easily the best tight end in the league right now. And then on defense, they have a solid D line headed by Crosby. It's a team that I really think moving forward can make the playoffs and can possibly win a playoff game this season. Next, we have the Bengals. Now, this might seem a little low to anybody who's watched the Bengals over the past couple of weeks, but they did just lose to the Jets, which, if you let that sit in for a second, 1 second, absolutely unacceptable loss. The Jets didn't even have Zach Wilson. How do you lose to the Jets without their star rookie quarterback? That's ridiculous. I understand Joe Burrow is playing with his entire heart, and Jamar Chase, unlike what everyone said at the beginning of the season, is actually proving to be one of the top 10 receivers in the top 5 receivers in the league, if we're being honest. Their offense does look good. Defense needs some holes fixed. O-line playing surprisingly well, even though they didn't draft Penei Sewell. They're proven to be a pretty solid team. I'm not sure how far they could go if they do get into the playoffs. Now, at number 8, this is going to be kind of a shocking team to be this low since they have beaten the Bills and other top teams, but the Tennessee Titans. Now, I know that the Tennessee Titans have proven to be really good, and originally I had them way higher up on this list. But Derrick Henry was just reported to have a severe foot injury, and I don't even need to tell you anything else about the Tennessee Titans. Like, without Derrick Henry, it's not much of a team, offensively at least, even though they have great receivers. Ryan Tannehill hasn't proven himself to be a quarterback who can be really good without Derrick Henry there forcing all these defenses to play a tight 8 box against them. Now, moving on to one of the teams that I find to be one of the most confusing teams in the NFL to properly rate, the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, unreal athlete, solid quarterback, can rush for 200 yards if he really wants to. Is he going to pass well? Maybe. Is he going to have a rough game in that respect? Possibly. But when defenses decide to stop his run game, it's tough for the Ravens to really get going on offense. Now, that can all change when he turns it up to his MVP caliber skill set and really just gets after it, but you can't really put him higher on this list halfway through the season until you see a little bit more out of him. Originally, you'd see that Chiefs win and say, oh, wow, they really look good, but I mean, we all know the Chiefs aren't even going to come close to this top 10 right now. I mean, what the hell's going on with the Chiefs? So yeah, 7. Possibly higher depending on what type of game Lamar Jackson decides to play. Now at number 6, we have the Buffalo Bills. Some of you might say this is a little low since they lost to a Tennessee Titans team that had Derrick Henry, who scored 3 touchdowns in that game. I mean, what are you going to do when Derrick Henry decides to do that and break off like a 70-plus yarder touchdown? It's not much you can really do, but I don't know. Their defense is really solid. They have a ton of interceptions, a ton of tackles for loss. Offense, also very solid. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. I really have zero complaints against this team, but early loss to the Steelers. I can't put them higher than some of the other teams on this list. Just out of a gut feeling that there's going to be more mistakes down the road. It's still a young quarterback. It's still kind of a young offense. And generally, I tend to lean towards veterans when I'm trying to decide who I think's really going to go far and win a Super Bowl, which will sound hypocritical later on when you hear who's in my top 3, which I'm sure you can already guess. Number 5, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Again, this is another team that would be way higher prior to if I decided to do this on Saturday. They look great. The only loss they had was to the Rams, who Matt Stafford is, you're just not going to beat him some games. But yesterday, they went out and decided to lose to the New Orleans Saints without Jameis Winston. It's tough to look at that and be like, well, let's, bring them up to number 3. Let's put them ahead of the Cowboys or the Packers or whoever. It's tough to do that because you lost to the Saints. And I heard them talking during the game about how Tom Brady, for some reason, struggles against the Saints and throws a lot of interceptions. I don't care. You beat the New Orleans Saints when their starting quarterback goes down. That's just what you do. Now, I'm 100% certain the Bucs will get into the playoffs before the Saints, but with some holes on their defensive side, mainly at cornerback, you got to kind of think there's a lot of teams that are more worthy of the higher spots. I'm not going to count Tom Brady out. He could probably easily take this team to the Super Bowl once he decides to kick it into full gear, around week 11, week 12. But right now, you can't put them higher than 5. And honestly, they could be at 6 and the Bills at 5. But I already wrote the list down, so we're going to stick with what I've already decided. Number 4, Dallas Cowboys. Let's not lie, they're easily going to make the playoffs, 100%. And their offense is ridiculous, even without Michael Gallup. Ridiculous. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, and Dak Prescott, who they didn't even need yesterday. They didn't play Dak Prescott yesterday, and they won against a very solid Vikings team. They stuck a guy in who has never started in the NFL ever. I mean, if you go back and watch those clips, the way his parents celebrated, awesome. 100%. You gotta go back and watch those clips because it's a fun game to watch and to see his parents react to him play. Cam Rush, can't remember the guy's first name, honestly. Fun game. But when they play against good teams, their defense gives up a lot of points, which you don't really want to have later on in the season because as teams get better, their offenses get better and their defenses get better. And as we know about the Cowboys, past couple of seasons, they've looked hot and then all of a sudden fallen apart. I definitely think this is a better defense than they've had in years prior. But I think with stiffer competition, they're going to lose 4 or 5 games for the rest over the course of the rest of the season. Number 3, and this is where it really got tough for me, honestly, because you could kind of interchange all 3 of these teams depending on the week. Number 3, I have the Green Bay Packers. Now, it's kind of tough because they did beat the Cardinals. Aaron Rodgers showed what being a veteran is and knowing how to properly manage a team and make the plays when they need to be played. Plus him telling the Bears that he owns them, unreal. That's what I want in a quarterback. I want him to piss off opposing franchises. I want the fans to be flipping him off, as we saw in the clips that came out the next day in photos. But and Devontae Adams, super solid. Their defense, extremely solid. Aaron Jones, I mean, top 5 running back in the league. Do I trust their head coach when it comes to the big games? When they play against the best teams? When it counts? No. Not really. I don't know why. I mean, it's definitely because of the Bucs game last year in the playoffs when he decided to kick the field goal rather than go for it. But I think both of my next 2 teams have better head coaches. And even with supreme talent, you need that head coach to take you from like way up here to all the way up here. Packers are here with like, obviously no Belichick, but with a next level coach, they'd go through the roof. Number 2, as a Detroit Lions fan, I'd love to put this team at 1, but I got to be honest, they're going to be number 2, Matt Stafford's Los Angeles Rams. There's not enough you can say about this team. It's littered with superstars. Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Cam Akers, Sony Michel, Darrell Henderson. I mean, there's just a lot of players that I can name off the top of my head very easily that are all contributors in some way or another. They struggled against the Lions. The Lions, for some reason, makes good teams struggle. The Ravens struggle against the Lions, too. They actually had the exact same score. I don't get it. Doesn't make any sense. But, whatever. They could win the Super Bowl this year, honestly. Sean McVay's system, really good quarterback play. They could definitely win the Super Bowl. They can beat any team any given week. They did lose one to the Cardinals, but it's kind of a tough team to pick against because of all the weapons, all the talent, all the knowledge that is in that locker room. And I think just honestly the sheer desire to win a Super Bowl from some of those guys like Jalen Ramsey, that guy wants to win a Super Bowl so he can tell the world to go fuck itself, He's got that kind of vibe to him. Aaron Donald probably wants to win a Super Bowl so he could murder someone with the ring. I'm not sure. Matt Stafford wants to win a Super Bowl to, turn himself from Matt Stafford to Matt Stafford, Fantastic team. Really wouldn't pick against them any week that I see them play. But they did lose to one team, and that one team has to be the number 1 team in the league. In my opinion, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I did say I pick veteran play over, young guy play earlier in the video. But, Kyler Murray is, I'd much rather have him than Patrick Mahomes. Honestly, he plays Patrick Mahomes' game, but just a little bit better, at least right now. Because Patrick sucks probably because his brother's in his head. But, who knows? But Kyler Murray is just great. They have a young, really good defense. With guys like Budda Baker and Isaiah Simmons. Really good defense. DeAndre Hopkins. Come on. Christian Kirk. Come on. Get out of here. All these guys on the same team. There's no way this team sticks together, by the way, over the next 3 years. It's going to be too expensive to keep this entire team together. But I'd have a hard time picking against them in any week either. Do I think they'll win the Super Bowl? Probably not. Don't know why, just a gut feeling. But right now, they're probably the best team in the league. at least in my opinion, that I wrote down 4 or 5 hours ago. So, I'm not very good at ending these videos, apparently. Yeah, I hope whatever you were looking for, you found here. Remember, I don't study analytics or anything like that. I'm simply a guy who watches a lot of NFL and enjoys it, and just enjoys sports in general, and likes to yell at his TV. And since the Lions absolutely blow, I watch a lot of these other teams and secretly root for the Rams because I'd love it if everyone would just admit that Matt Stafford should be in the Hall of Fame, personally. If you like the video, I would enjoy having more than one subscriber, personally. So subscribe, be number 2 on the list. That would be fantastic. Like the video, comment how dumb some of my picks are, or if you agree. I'd appreciate it if you agreed, but I'd understand if you didn't. So, leave a comment, like it, subscribe. You're not going to share it, so I'm not going to tell you to, but hope you enjoyed. Hope you got something out of this, and honestly, I just hope over the past, 15 whatever minutes, you forgot about how shitty, going to work and dealing with your day is. And just had some fun with some sports thoughts. Have a good rest of your day. See you tomorrow.